Federal Bank Prime Time Studio. Viewers, we are our own worst enemies. The Prime Minister is at the G7 today in Italy representing rising India that is poised on superpower status. Instead of rallying behind the Prime Minister, a cantankerous debate has been sparked by the opposition questioning the appropriateness of, in their words, an ek tihai or a one-third Prime Minister representing India. Clearly, in their refusal to accept defeat, the opposition led by the Congress has forgotten that Prime Ministers from within their own ranks, with an even lesser mandate, have not just attended but meaningfully represented India at G7 summits in the past. By the opposition's logic, even British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and US President Joe Biden, who looks set to lose impending national elections in their respective countries, would have no moral right to attend the G7. This, viewers, is how bankrupt the opposition's thinking is. Let's not forget that PM Modi is not imposing himself upon the G7. On the contrary, he has been invited. The facts tell us that no other Indian Prime Minister has been invited to attend more G7 meets than Narendra Modi. In fact, ever since 2019, India has been invited to every single G7 summit meet. So much so that there's talk that India might even be invited to become a permanent G7 member. Now, viewers, look at what the opposition has been saying, despite India's rising clout. And let me quote Jairam Ramesh, who is, of course, the most visible face of the Congress party in the public domain. He says, a one-third Prime Minister doesn't acknowledge history. Since 2003, India was invited for G7 summits, salvaging his diminished international image. That's the reason why the Prime Minister is attending this particular summit meeting, says Jairam Ramesh, who is, of course, the head of the Congress communications cell. Gaurav Gogoi, Congress MP, who is also cut out for big tasks in the upcoming Lok Sabha, says, amid the NEET row, the NEET row, Prime Minister has left for G7 summit, implying that he's neglecting his duties at home. Then you have the Samajwadi Party, viewers, the ally of the Congress, an important stakeholder of the India alliance. The gentleman on your screen, Mr. Abbas Haider, says, PM Modi's policies have failed India. He's using events now for image management. Now, what the opposition is not telling you is that India's heft has risen astronomically under Modi since 2014. It is also not telling you that Modi is not representing himself in Italy. He is in fact there because he happens to be the head of the executive of one of, if not the most respected nations of the world. Bharat is in demand today. It is the #1 global success story without exaggeration. It is growing much faster than any other large economy. It has the fastest falling poverty rates. It has, viewers, a huge demographic advantage, a productive population that is going to power growth to the point where it could even become the world's largest economy by 2050. It isn't India that needs the G7, but it is the G7, viewers, that today needs India. Before you accuse me of talking up the prospects of our own motherland without basis, let me introduce you to the indisputable hard facts which I always bring to you, viewers, so you can get closer to the truth, to the fact of the matter. Here is why the G7 needs India, viewers, not the other way around. First of all, because of India's rising influence. India's crucial role in world affairs boosts the G7, bolsters the G7, especially as the UNSC faces decision-making challenges. Remember, viewers, the UNSC itself is losing both vitality and relevance because it is stuck because of vetoes, etc. It's immobile, doesn't do very much, it's paralyzed. So increasingly, other organizations, other alliances like the G7, for example, play a more critical role. And they need India, viewers, to provide that ballast. Economic clout, viewers, India's economic clout is much higher than it was ever before. With a GDP higher than UK, France, Italy, Canada, and poised to overtake Japan soon, India strengthens the G7's declining economic clout. In the 1980s, the G7 accounted for nearly 60% of the world's total GDP. But this is now dropped to about 40%. Yes, viewers, 40%. By some tabulations, the BRICS comes close to G7. Here's another fact, viewers. Democratic values. India's democratic ethos aligns with the G7, offering a responsible alternative to China's authoritarianism. Remember, viewers, we are coming out of the 2024 general elections, where Mr. Modi has been denied a full, simple majority. What does that tell you? That far from being in decline, India's democracy is actually, viewers, robust, and there are enough checks and balances to stop anyone from misusing the levers of power. Here is another hard fact, viewers. Global South representation. India bridges the gap with the Global South, incorporating perspectives from developing nations into global decision making. This is where it's at, viewers, in the Global South now. The West is, as you can see, it is pulsifying. It's in decline. Its economy splutters. The EU itself is in a shambles. China, as you can see, viewers, is also going through economic hardship. Its economy is slid down. It's no longer the fastest growing, largest economy. That's India, viewers. And there are prospective other economies in the Global South that are catching up, poised to race ahead. Here's another fact. Strategically, geopolitically critical. India is fundamentally critical, viewers. India's presence counters China's influence, providing a strategic partner for the G7 in the Indo-Pacific region. And demography as destiny. Among all the G7 countries, only India's population is young while others are aging very, very quickly. Now first, viewers, before we get into the political debate, let's figure out what really is on the Prime Minister's mind as he heads into this particular summit meet. And we are joined by Harshvardhan Shringla, who's of course been the former Foreign Secretary of India, very well poised to give us some definitive answers. Let's keep the visuals of all the meetings that the Prime Minister has undertaken over the last few hours. He's met Meloni, he's met, of course, the French President Macron, he has met Sunak, he has met, I think, his German counterpart also, and you can see all those pictures, the Prime Minister there. He's also met the Pope, at least shaken his hand. There's supposed to be a pull aside with him. So, Mr. Shringla, are we right to conclude that to the G7 that needs India, that the opposition is wrong when it says that, you know, we are going there and the Prime Minister is going there to only burnish his credentials and doing image control? And if you think that I'm right in concluding that the G7 needs India, I'm asking you, why is this the case?
Well, India has become a very major player on the global scenario. I think Prime Minister Modi's own status, his ability to contribute on issues of global importance have already been proven time and again, whether it's during the COVID crisis whether it is during the G20 presidency of India, whether it is in terms of contributing to finding solutions to global challenges, whether the Ukraine conflict or the Middle East issue. I think Prime Minister Modi's perspective is a different perspective. It's a refreshing perspective, and one that the world appreciates and definitely wants to see India as a part of any global decision making that is taking place, whether it's in the G7, G20, whether it's in BRICS or Quad or the SCO. I think India straddles that ideological space pretty north and south and east and west today, with Prime Minister Modi very much at the focus of global attention.
Well, that's why our top bands, viewers, if you look above you, our top bands actually encapsulate what Mr. Shringla is saying. Now, I want to ask you, Mr. Shringla, why does the G7 feel the need to invite India every year? I know it's an extension of the first question, but could you elaborate?
Well, I think it's also linked to the first question. The G7 understands that the developed countries by themselves have a certain limit in providing solutions to global challenges. They need to co-opt very prominent members who constitute today's multipolar world, whether it is India, whether it is countries like Brazil and Argentina, whether it is countries like, South Africa or Indonesia, but India certainly is at the forefront of countries that not only provide a perspective which is, let's say, different, and one which I think in many senses seem to have the answers to solutions or to challenges that the developed world does not always find, but also in many senses we are seen as representing the aspirations of the developing world, the global south. We are also, I think, very much a country that is contributing to issues that are relevant to today's, world, whether it's technology, whether it is issues like, migration, whether it is issues like soft power. I think today's context, India's contribution is very, very clearly and tangibly recognized. Look at the G7's agenda. The G7's agenda is the Mediterranean and Africa. And these are areas which are India's extended neighborhood. We've been very involved with this region, and we can provide perspectives that I think will be very, very welcome in this meeting. And the other issues which are important for the G7 are energy and food security. India is a major consumer of energy, a major purchaser of energy, and at the same time, major producer of food, whether it's wheat or rice, can also contribute very effectively, whether it's artificial intelligence or technology, which are also on the agenda, or migration, we are in a position to contribute. So I think Prime Minister Modi's presence and India's participation in G7 meetings since 2019 have been almost de rigueur now because of our contribution. We are not there because of the representation factor. We are there because we are able to make that vital difference in contributing to the global agenda.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Shringla. Let me open this up. Thank you for joining me. Let me open this up. Let me bring in Mr. Brahma Chileni. Needs no introduction. Foremost strategic affairs analyst. We also have with us, of course, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, also someone who's an experienced hand at looking at global affairs. We have with us a Congress leader, Nikul Patel. First, Mr. Chileni, let me ask you, what do you make of this argument that is being pushed aggressively in Indian domestic circles? That, look, the Prime Minister is some kind of an interloper here. He is diminished, his mandate is diminished, and therefore he is no longer in a position to represent India meaningfully. First of all, how do you address this?
That's very odd for anyone to say that. First, this summit represents an excellent diplomatic platform for bilateral interactions with a host of leaders. The real value of this summit is in the opportunity it offers to hold a series of bilateral meetings with other leaders on the sidelines, which is why Modi and the other non-Western leaders accepted Italian Prime Minister Meloni's invitation to attend the G7 summit. So this is a very rich venue where you can interact with world leaders on a one-on-one basis. And this is an opportunity that no one, can say no to. The second is that the G7 as a grouping is in decline. It's in decline because the G7 member states' share of the global GDP has been on the decline. Their economic strength declines, so their global clout declines, and the relevance of the G7 itself is being questioned in the West. So in this context, what did the host Prime Minister Meloni do in order to accept the new realities in the world, the fact that the world has changed, the balance of power is shifting? She invited prominent non-Western leaders, including the leaders of India, Brazil, Turkey, and the UAE. That's how Modi is there at this summit, because he represents a very important voice in the global South, which is why India was invited. And Meloni also invited Zelensky and the Pope, who's been calling for a ceasefire. Zelensky wants an unending war, and the Pope believes that a ceasefire has become imperative. The Pope can play the role of an honest broker. But unfortunately, the G7 isn't interested in peace. Its member states are getting more and more involved in the Ukraine war. We can see that from the US just in recent weeks, and also from the developments since yesterday at the summit. At the summit, for example, Biden signed a 10-year formal security agreement with Ukraine, offering Ukraine tangible US security guarantees. He also unveiled a $50 billion loan in quotes, for Ukraine. Actually, the loan is a gift because it'll be repaid not by Ukraine. It'll be repaid from the stolen interest earned on the frozen Russian central bank assets. Russia calls this thievery. This is a clear violation of international law. And the EU, for its part, separately has approved confiscating and sending to Ukraine this year up to 4 billion euros of interest income on the frozen Russian sovereign assets. So we can see how the very countries that talk about rule of law, they talk of a rules-based order, are engaging in confiscation of central bank assets, which traditionally have been considered to be sacrosanct. You can't touch those assets.
Right.
But here they froze those assets, and now they're stealing the interest on those assets.
That's a slightly more tangential. That will follow. We'll come to that. What is the agenda, etc., etc. But let me bring in Abhijit Iyer Mitra. Why, Mr. Mitra, would an A-grade, or someone who fancies himself, let me put it like this, as an A-grade intellectual like Jairam Ramesh, make such a statement? He says, the Pradhan Mantri flying to Italy today to salvage his diminished international image at this year's summit. Why would he round off his commentary with such a comment?
Look, Rahul, it's been very clear for quite some time that this is the kind of commentary that Rahul likes, Rahul approves of, and Rahul promotes within the Congress. He likes them nasty and vicious. And Jairam's a perfectly nice person who, in a competitive world has to outdo all the nastiness and the viciousness that comes from there. The problem, of course, is one of logic. First is that this invitation was given well before the election, and it was to the Prime Minister of India. Who is the Prime Minister of India today? Narendra Modi. How many seats has his party won? About 245. How many seats has his coalition won? 296, well over the halfway mark. First is the question of who the invitation was to. Second is the validity of who represents India, and in Parliament, very clearly, that is the Prime Minister. If the Congress has an issue with it, it can call for a no confidence motion and see who the legitimate representative of the Indian people is at the moment. The third issue out here is the sheer gall, of saying, look at the party that this is coming from. 99 seats, which is its third worst performance, pretending to be a victor. Even Sitaram Kesri, who was locked in the bathroom and kicked out of the Congress party presidency, got more seats than Rahul Gandhi did. Even Narasimha Rao in his second election got more seats than Rahul Gandhi did. Even his own mother, who presided over the previous lowest tally of the Congress party, 114 seats, got more seats than Rahul Gandhi did. His own two-term prime minister, Manmohan Singh, was prime minister with how many seats? 140 something and 206 seats. So what was Manmohan Singh then? By all logic, if we go by the Congress party's own record, see, we should never measure the Congress party by the record of Modi or anybody else. We need to measure them by their own record. By their own record, it is their historic third lowest. It is one of their lowest vote shares. What do you expect? I mean, it defies all logic. This is calling into question serious constitutional issues. It's fundamentally refusing to admit that there is something called coalition politics that has been going on in this country for the last 30 years. And this is how prime ministers are in this country, right? It's perfectly fine, but I hope the Congress party knows what it's doing, because it's essentially setting the stage for some kind of a civil war. It won't be new for them. They've, minions of the Congress party have been encouraging riots and all kinds of things for some time. So it's fine. I mean, they know what they're doing.
Okay, let me bring in Nikul Patel. Nikul Patel, what are you doing exactly? Are you trying to undermine the Prime Minister and, by extension, India's ability to push a narrative? What exactly are you doing? What is this Ek Tihai and he's, going there to burnish his image, this, that, the other? What do you think Dr. Manmohan Singh was doing? He wasn't even in control of his own, by all accounts, his own government. Do you think he was actually peddling Pakistan's agenda or somebody else's agenda, or was, one chothai? What is this illogical nonsense?
Okay. Rahul, first of all, I would like to bring hard facts to the viewers as well as to the people of the country. India, the second largest population in the world, that attracts the most of the developed countries to be the biggest market they can find. Second thing, the youngest average population that you find in the country, so that you can hire them for the outsourcing things what other countries want. Third point regarding the carbon credit, because internationally all countries are facing the environmental issues and they want their production lines to be put at some place where you can find them. Now, when we see the conflict between the China and the international developed countries, especially America, they find that now China, we cannot rely on China, and we have to find an alternative. So that is why the countries like US, Europe, Japan wants to find an alternative, and that is why we are being selected. And if you see, the Make in India concept is still not flying colors. We are still depending on China for so many things. Now, these are the hard facts that entire world knows, and that is why they are calling India as one of the member to the summits like this. Now, when we talk of Honorable Prime Minister, we never objected of him that why he is going to G7. We objected it because we know that Honorable Prime Minister always make tall claims that he is like this, he may win like this, he may be doing like this, and he might have put everything to the international community that I will be winning by 400 plus, and I will be giving this to the world, to the country, and whatever policies I would like to make, I can make to the India, and we can do what with the flying colors. But what happened in the elections? Definitely, the government didn't find the majority, and today, when Modi ji is going there, definitely he will try to cover the things that, okay, this happened, we are not able to find it, but we are having a government. We are now not Modi Sarkar, we are NDA Sarkar. And that is what Jairam Ramesh wants to convey to the people, that, okay fine, he is going good, but he is not.
I think I made a mistake by suggesting that someone was an A grade something or the other. I mean, are we suggesting, Professor Cheleni, that everyone is calling us because there is a neo-imperialist or neo-imperialistic conspiracy to turn India into a dumping ground, and that the Prime Minister doesn't enjoy any form of autonomy here because he doesn't have a mandate, though somehow he runs a coalition government where the BJP has 240, which is about 32 short of the halfway mark, and actually can pass pretty much any law he wants in this country. He doesn't need 330 or 400 par to change any law. I mean, if this is the logic, then I rest my case. And if you agree with it, then I think we should just quietly say that Mr. Jairam Ramesh is the A-grade brain that he fancies himself to be.
Rahul, much weaker coalition governments in India have delivered major reforms. They have delivered economic boom, very high GDP growth rates. And we had a coalition government with much lower numbers in the Lok Sabha that turned India into a nuclear weapon state just 6 weeks after it came to office. Talking about Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government. By comparison, the coalition that Modi leads has far better numbers in Lok Sabha. It looks more stable, and you can make out from the composition of this new government led by Modi that is actually largely it largely consists of people who were in his second term. So there is continuity, there is stability. And we should not forget that this could be Modi's last term in office because he's already 73 and he may see this as his last term. And he's going to be a bolder. He'll try to fashion a lasting legacy.
Yes.
So for all this talk that Modi has been humbled, as the New York Times said, that his grip on power has been weakened, the fact is he's very much in control of everything, as the composition of the government has shown, as the appointment of key aides has shown, and that we can expect Modi to prove his critics wrong. The other point that I wish to make is that Indian foreign policy traditionally has been driven by bipartisan consensus at home. I don't think that bipartisan consensus in India has unraveled, despite whatever remarks are being made by irresponsible people. The fact is that if you look at, for example, the Ukraine war, there is a bipartisan consensus in India that India ought to stay neutral and independent. So this is not just the Modi government's approach. This is the approach, the thinking of people across the political spectrum.
Right.
And I think Indian foreign policy will continue to be run on the basis of bipartisan consensus in India.
Well, I mean, if one can help, that is the opposition who seems to be living in denial. But viewers, it's been fascinating. It's a great conversation. And look how close we came to electing the Congress party that says that any investment is the handmaiden of neo-imperialists. So if you're business people out there, viewers, this is what the Congress represents, a completely anti-capitalist point of view. Think about that the next time you go to vote, which could be very soon. We'll take a short break, viewers.
More than 40 migrant workers are dead. Most of the bodies are charred beyond recognition. In a matter of minutes, a devastating fire in a building in Mangaf, Kuwait, has destroyed so many lives. The 6-story building was primarily housing nearly 200 men who were living in Kuwait for work, away from their families. At around 4 o'clock in the morning on the 12th of June, it became a house of horror. While everyone was asleep, a fire started in the kitchen and rapidly spread throughout the premises. Most of the deaths were caused due to inhalation of smoke in sleep. Some of the workers tried to flee the inferno by jumping from higher floors, while others succumbed to suffocation as they tried to navigate through the smoke-filled corridors. The local administration has started a probe into how so many people were packed into the building. It was rented by an Indian construction company called the NBTC Group for migrant workers. A majority of them were from Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Uttar Pradesh. Most of the deceased were between 20 and 50.
Viewers, the cat is well and truly out of the bag, and the Congress is looking decidedly worse for it. Remember that the Congress party's lead campaigner, Rahul Gandhi, has been telling us that he fought the last election to save the constitution that was under attack from the BJP. Many Indians believed him and voted for the Congress party, boosting its numbers and denying the BJP a simple majority. Fair enough. How costly this error of judgment will prove to be to the nation's well-being is a matter of debate. It could be an endless debate, viewers. A debate without resolution. But what we can tell you is that a Congress leader has shown up Rahul Gandhi as a hypocrite. A top aide of the Karnataka Chief Minister, no less, and a candidate in the just concluded Lok Sabha elections, has admitted that the Congress had a tacit understanding with the political arm of the banned terror group, the PFI. Can you believe it, viewers? This has now come straight out into the open. And I'm not going to stand in between you and the truth as revealed by Congress leader, senior Congress leader from Karnataka, Mr. Lakshman.
ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ ಎಸ್.ಡಿ.ಪಿ.ಐಗೆ ನಾನು ಬಹಳ ಆಭಾರಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಡೆಮೊಕ್ರೆಟಿಕ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಅದೊಂದು ಪಕ್ಷ ಕ್ಯಾಂಡಿಡೇಟ್ ಹಾಕದೇನೆ ನನಗೆ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಸಹಕಾರ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರ ಜೊತೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಪಕ್ಷ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಸ್.ಡಿ.ಪಿ.ಐ ಪ್ರಗತಿಪರ ಸಂಘಟನೆಗಳು.
When Amit Shah made the same claim before the Karnataka elections, the Congress party spun around and said, you're doing Hindu-Muslim. Now, viewers, Lakshmana's revelation is massive because the SDPI has been described by the Congress party's own India bloc ally, the CPIM, as an ideological cousin of the ISIS, which is an Islamist supremacist group sworn to imposing Sharia law across the world. Viewers, let me give you a bit of a backgrounder on the SDPI. On 2nd March 2024, the NI arrested Ghaus Niazi from Mumbai airport, who was suspected to be the key conspirator in the murder of RSS functionary Rudresh. Niazi was the president of SDPI Hebbal unit, Hebbal in Karnataka. 4th Jan 2023, a magisterial inquiry report into Bengaluru riots stated that the members of the SDPI acted like a terrorist gang. The report said that the SDPI conspired to strike terror among the people and police authorities, viewers. In fact, in that riot, let me jog your memory back, viewers, a Congress MLA was attacked by the same group. He begged for help, but got none from the Congress. 22nd September 2022, the NI and Enforcement Directorate conducted pan-India raids and arrested 45 people, covering 13 states, against the PFI SDPI leadership and cadre for terror-related and terror funding activities. 23rd September 2013, a group of persons belonging to the PFI SDPI organized a terrorist camp at Narath in Kerala's Kannur district and entered into a criminal conspiracy to impart training to some youth for using explosives and weapons with an intention to prepare them for terrorist activities and to commit acts endangering the unity and integrity of the nation. Viewers, I am not making any of these claims. These claims have been made in courts of law. They are part of either charge sheets or the case record. A nation's constitution, built on the edifice of Sharia law, of course, is incompatible with the ideals enshrined in the Indian constitution that Rahul Gandhi has sworn to uphold. Listen to Rahul Gandhi.
संविधान को बचाने की थी, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को बचाने की थी, और मेरे माइंड में था कि हिंदुस्तान की जनता अपने संविधान के लिए एक साथ खड़ी होकर लड़ जाएगी, और यह सच साबित हुआ.
Gandhi calls himself the guardian of the constitution. Yet his party ties up with the SDPI, which has only contempt, really, viewers, for the manner in which we organize ourselves. What explains this contradiction? How can an alliance with an allegedly radical Islamist group be in consonance with the presumed secular values of a national party like the Congress? By backing SDPI, is the Congress promoting Islamist supremacism? Have we all been duped by a false promise? These are fundamental questions. Let's open them up and ask viewers. Our guest, Syed Asad Abbas, political analyst, Asif Suhail, another political analyst. We have with us also Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Madhu Rao, BJP spokesperson. What's going on, Mr. Abbas? Rahul Gandhi holds the constitution in his hand, flashes it before us, and his party confesses to tying up with an organization which is the political wing of a terror group, which has huge charges against it, and the CPIM, the ally of the Congress, calls the other side of the Islamist state. What's going on?
The fact of the matter is, Rahul Saab,
Hanji,
the Bharatiya Janata Party over the last 10 years has been in power. Also, we need to understand that PFI and SDPI are both the same. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato.
Okay.
The fact of the matter, very conveniently, they banned the PFI, but why is the SDPI alive? I will give you a couple of statistics today. In the year 2018 Karnataka elections, more than 50 seats, the margin of winning was less than 5,000. Why did it happen? Because SDPI was contesting against the Congress party. Not just that. Also, Rahul Saab, if you look at the front here in Karnataka, there is a RSS functionary by the name of Satyajit Suratkal, who says that the BJP helps them, funds them, supports them to defeat Congress because the same SDPI eats into the vote bank of the Congress party. So therefore, it is important to keep them alive. Not just that. Rahul Saab, let me tell you, 2 BJP-backed members help SDPI back Talapadi Gram Panchayat president's post in Karnataka. And mind you, SDPI had support of 10, while only 1 was aligned with the Congress. The fact is, Rahul Saab, habam mein sab nange hain. If you're going to call out the Congress, why not call out the BJP? As a matter of fact, leaders like C.T. Ravi,
Mr. Abbas,
Nalin Kumar
don't
Katil,
forget.
Ishwarappa, have
One
all,
second, very
just
quickly.
30 seconds, Rahul Saab, 30 seconds. C.T. Ravi, Nalin Kumar Katil and Ishwarappa, very tall leaders of the BJP party, have always said that the SDPI are terrorists. They are Musalman gundas. So when you say that, why do you allow SDPI to even contest elections here in Karnataka?
Okay.
Why? Because
can I step in for just 20 seconds now? I've got your point.
Yes, please. Yes.
But you haven't still answered the fundamental question.
I have answered out.
Which is one. Which is, hang on. You said that potato, tomato, tomato, potato is the same thing as DPI, PFI, right? Why is the Congress in alliance with them? It's not the BJP that is saying that they're in alliance. The Congress itself is admitting. And does that mean that they're upholding the constitution? Just yes or no. Does the Congress alliance with the SDPI give you confidence that the Congress is upholding the constitution, sir?
Yes. A very good question, Rahul Saab. I will answer you. Pointed question, pointed answer. Okay. Siddaramaiah, the Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, has stated time and again, there is absolutely no alliance with them, but he's called out for a ban of SDPI. SDPI to be banned Siddaramaiah, DK Shivkumar,
Okay.
and even UT Khadr, the
Okay,
Karnataka Lok
so
Sabha,
Mr. Abbas, your
Karnataka-
argument is the following, that when the BJP claims, we should actually contest that claim. When the Congress claims, then we should reject it. This is bizarre.
No, Rahul sir.
No, I'm only
Rahul sir.
asking. You said you were going to give me a pointed answer. And I like the way
Yeah.
you started by not mincing your words and saying, yes, the SDPI and the PFI are the same. Potato, tomato, you said, right? Though potatoes and tomatoes are quite different.
No.
But
I said
nonetheless, same
potato,
side.
Potato, tomato, both are
Okay,
same.
right. Okay, so you're basically saying they're all the same, right? Basically, if that's the case, and the Congress is admitting on record, this Lakshman gentleman is admitting on record that we have an alliance and we will continue to support them for whatever reasons, electoral benefit, what have you. How is then the Congress party calling itself a guardian of the Constitution? It
I will
obviously
answer that.
ceases, no, 1 second, sir. It ceases to be and it gives up that right, isn't it, sir?
Yes, Rahul sir. Firstly,
Yes
Mr.
or no?
Lakshman needs to be summoned by Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka. Whereas, how can he take a party line outside? DK Shivkumar, Siddaramaiah have both maintained that
Well,
they have
that is the
absolutely
Congress
zero
and
alliance
Mr.
with them.
Lakshman's problem, not our problem. Let them sort it out. Let them have a dinner date together and ask each other whatever question they want. But the fact is, isn't that a repudiation of the basic ethos and values contained in our Constitution? Yes or no, Abbas Saab?
Rahul sir, I completely disagree and disown the statements of Lakshman. I think he's lying.
But who
he
are
has
you?
absolutely no word to say that.
I mean, who
The
are
Congress
you?
Party
You are not. Okay, sorry. You're just a commentator. You're not the Congress party. You're not the Congress chief. You're not Rahul Gandhi. You're nobody. Anyhow, the point is.
I'm not a nobody.
No, you're not a nobody.
I'm a
I'm saying.
commentator on CNN.
No, you're a very important voice. I'm saying, but you're a nobody in Congress circles, right? That's what I mean.
No.
Okay. Or you are.
I have friends in all the parties, sir.
No, that doesn't mean that you're a member of the party. Anyhow, viewers, this is bizarre. This is bizarre. Rahul Gandhi holds up. Look at the way he's holding up that constitution. Yet his party.
But Rahul Saab, let us also call
one
out
second,
the
one
BJP.
second.
on
Now,
this.
ho gaya, sir, ho gaya. Sahab, ho gaya. Now, let me get to the point. Mr. Iyer, what do you make of this? I find it fascinating.
Hamas isn't banned in India. So would you actually shake hands with, would a Congress member of parliament or anyone have any issue shaking hands with people like Yahya Sinwar, who's the head of their military wing, or Khalid Mishal, who's their former head living in Qatar? Because it should be perfectly normal, right?
Yeah.
Just very curious. There is Boko Haram in Nigeria, which usually kidnaps and kills, and they mutilate all the boys that they capture, genitally mutilate. And, they sexually inflict sexual violence and kill off hundreds of Christian girls and things like that.
Yeah.
Would you, because they're not banned in India, would you sort of shake hands with them and invite them over for lunch or dinner? I'm very curious.
Well, there was an event, if you remember, where the Hamas was given a platform in our great country in the name of democracy.
By the Congress,
Well,
where
there
a
you
Congress member of Parliament addressed that particular gathering.
Yeah. So,
Now, this is the problem that we're facing right now. The Congress, which used to be the bastion of our morality, which used to be the bastion of our nationalism. Remember, the Congress used to be very, very nationalistic. It's called the Indian Nationalist Congress. It's not called the Indian Internationalist Congress. It's not called the Indian Globalist Congress. It is called the Indian Nationalist Congress, where nationalism has suddenly become a dirty word. Now, we can play all these games that, SDPI is not banned. But, this is like this is the distinction between the IRA and the Sinn Féin.
That's
because
right.
one is political, therefore it can't be banned.
Yeah.
This is, I know you're kind of going around killing people, setting bomb blasts and things like that.
Yeah.
But you have to be seriously morally bankrupt to even be in a room with anybody from SDP.
Well, let me bring in Mr. Madhu Rao and also Asif Suhail. Madhu Rao, the question will obviously come back to you. a couple of statistics have been used by Mr. Abbas. He picked them off from the net. I know they're floating around, but he forgot to tell us that these people were BJP backed and not BJP members, BJP backed. They were just BJP backed, viewers. So, you know, those people are free agents. They can do whatever they want to. BJP
Rahul
is wrong to have backed them if they were in taking the support of SDPI. That's not right. But I want to ask you, Mr. Rao, is Mr. Abbas right that you want the SDPI around so that it can cut the secular vote and benefit you? That's why it's not been banned.
Rahul, good evening. I think it was more obnoxious for me to listen from Mr. Abbas. But anyway, let me tell one thing. We are nationalist, we are patriotic, we want our country to be safe. Point one. Now, point two, whatever Mr. Abbas told, it doesn't bear of the record. So I really strongly condemn it. But let me tell you the other way around. It's all Google, please, Abbas. Now, let me tell you one thing. Constitution in one hand and supporting SDPI is for me oxymoronic. Let me tell you something. Lakshman, who is the spokesperson of the party and has been a candidate from Mysore, is very close to Mr. Siddaramaiah. And what he did is nothing but a thanksgiving, because welcoming happened in 2023 itself. Now, let me quote for you, because this love affair perhaps between the Congress party and the SDPI is not something new, at least for the BJP. We have been telling the people as to how these people are. Now, let me quote something. April 2023, G. Parmeshwar, who is the present Home Minister, he told, let me quote him, we must appeal to them because Bharatiya Janata Party believes in polarizing people. We need to defeat the concept in India. So we need the support of SDPI or any other organization. So this is what Mr. Parmeshwar had told.
Okay.
Why am I telling this? I will tell you. Now, MB Patil had told the similar thing. Even now we expect the support of the SDPI so that we can defeat the BJP, and it was corroborated by none other than Mr. Alia Tumbe, who was the General Secretary of the party in Karnataka. Rahul, let me tell you one thing. SDPI is closely related with PFI. Everyone knows about it. It was the very same Congress party in 2015 took off 175 cases. 6,000 KFD PFI persons were released. We told don't release them. There will be a mayhem.
Okay.
But they released.
Okay.
Now, 1 minute. Let me complete. 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds. The reason is simple. That day, the DGP of Karnataka, the DIG of Karnataka, the intelligence told kindly don't release. And you have seen after 2018, 19, 20, anti-CAA riots, the culprits, the Mangalore Bast victim. I mean, sorry, the accused.
PFI people have been accused.
Mr. DK Shukumar used to say
Okay,
that his brother.
But the fundamental question is,
this
Mr. Rao, all this is fine. Well, when will you do us the favor of banning them?
Rahul, please understand that there is something called as Election Commission of India. These parties, every political
Rahul,
party,
like
Abbas,
to
kindly listen to me, please.
No,
Kindly
but
listen. If you do not know the law,
cases,
you
the
please
Home
know the law.
Ministry can, no, 1 second, let's not talk over each other. The Home Ministry can step in and do this. Anyhow, we'll come to that. 1 second.
That's
I want to
under
bring
process.
it.
Seconds, Rahul.
One second.
That decision has to be taken by Election
20
Commission.
seconds,
Okay,
Rahul.
1 second. Let me
Because
bring it.
they are
1
registered
second.
under
1 second.
Representation of People's Act of 1951.
Okay, 1 second. You can make
20
a,
seconds,
you can
Rahul,
make,
sir.
you can make a request. You can plead before the
There has
Election
been a
Commission.
request.
Well, then what are they doing about it?
No, Election Commission
Follow it
has to
up.
decide.
Take
It's a
them to
constitutional
court.
body,
Take the
Rahul.
Election Commission to court. Why can't you take them to
20
court?
seconds, Rahul.
Anyhow, where there is a will,
20
there is a way.
seconds left to the-
Mr. Suhail,
20
I want
seconds.
to ask you. No, 1 second. Let me bring in Mr. Suhail because I'm running out of time. Mr. Suhail, forget about right now whether the SDPI should be banned or should not be banned. I'm only asking you, sir. Let's come back to the main subject of this debate. How can a leader who holds up the Constitution then go out there and his party aligns itself with people who actually have very little respect for the Constitution from the charges, I'm only saying, from the charges that have been brought against it, sir? Isn't that a hypocritical act? Simple question to you.
राहुल देखिए इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है. राहुल गांधी इज द टॉर्च बेयरर ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन टू सेफगार्ड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया. तो देखिए हम उसके ऊपर कोई दूसरी बात नहीं कर सकते. और रही आप
बात खत्म है.
की बात करें सर, सुनिए सर
और नहीं सुनना. बात ही खत्म. डिबेट ही ओवर.
सर क्या
If Rahul Gandhi, according to you,
सपोर्ट नहीं लिया सर
ठीक।
बीजेपी ने आरएसएस का सपोर्ट नहीं लिया
ठीक,
हिंदुस्तान
ठीक,
में,
ठीक
और
है।
दूसरा कहीं ऑफिशियल स्टेटमेंट है क्या कांग्रेस का
हाँ।
कि एसडीपीआई का ये लोग ने सपोर्ट लिया
आपको
है
मैंने
इलेक्शन के
सुनाया
अंदर?
तो
आप
पूरा
बताइए।
साउंड बाइट। अच्छा
अरे
ठीक है
सर
सुहेल
मुझे
साहब,
बताइए ना,
देखिए
वेयर द
ऐसे
सोर्स,
ऐसे
व्हाट आर द
झगड़ा लड़ाई
सोर्स
नहीं
सर,
करने
व्हाट
का।
आर द सोर्स,
ओके।
आप मुझे बताइए
सोर्स
सोर्स बताइए ना।
लक्ष्मणन्स ओन बाइट।
अरे कहाँ है सर ऑफिशियली? आप मुझे एक स्टेटमेंट बताइए, आप कहीं लिखा हुआ है क्या?
ओके
सर
ओके
कहीं
ठीक है।
पर भी
नाउ
आप
यू आर
किधर पे भी
साउंडिंग लाइक
देखकर
अ
अगर
पर्टिकुलर
सर
सेफोलॉजिस्ट हु
सर
सेज
दूसरी
बाइट दिखाओ, बाइट
नहीं, नहीं,
दिखाओ, बाइट दिखाओ।
बस
एनीहाउ
सर देखिए,
अब आप काम थोड़ा
आप
फेडर नीचे
नागपुर
करें, पुट
यूनिवर्सिटी
इट
का
आउट
डेटा
बिकॉज़ आई डोंट वांट टू
निकाल
गेट इनटू अ स्लैंगिंग मैच विद अ पर्सन who is completely out of the loop. This is the gentleman, viewers. He's on the right of your screens, Mr. Lakshmana. We played his soundbite. He's saying we supported, we got support, and we support SDPI. Now it's for the Congress to sort this out. How can a person who stood for a Lok Sabha election be lying? Why would he lie? Viewers, I want to quickly draw our attention to another big breaking story, and I want Abhijit Mitra's view on this. The Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, viewers, has sanctioned the prosecution of Arundhati Roy, noted author, in a case that dates back to 2010, which was, of course, brought against her for making an alleged speech at the Press Club of India, which is deemed to have been anti-national. She called for freedom of Kashmir, from what we are reading. And viewers, 10 years or 14 years after that event, the LG has said that yes, we're going to prosecute now, or we give sanction for the prosecution of Arundhati Roy under the UAPA, the Anti-Terror Act, of course. Now, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, what do you make of this?
Rahul, this is exactly the kind of misuse of UAPA that, ends up reducing its legal credibility. It's a good law. It shouldn't be used like this. This speech was, first of all, made 14 years back. Sure, we don't have a timeout period in India and sunset clause and things like that. I understand that.
And it's important to note that it was made when the UPA was in power, and the UPA slapped all those sedition and all sorts of crazy
all those
cases.
sedition charges on them.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, this one was at least let off. Do you remember what, when Chidambaram was Home Minister, what he did to the protesters outside Kudangulam nuclear reactor?
6,000 sedition cases.
Black and blue, and there were some close to 10,000 cases, if I'm not mistaken, a few thousand cases of sedition that was slapped. But this is the classic. I don't know why they are doing this. It's not a good, when this lady is irrelevant today. She was irrelevant even then, despite her great, claim to relevance and her third-rate writing. All she's had is one book, one successful book.
That's,
the rest have all been failures. So she's irrelevant. It caused no violence.
Let me bring in Rupashri Nanda on that point. Let's just get a sense of why this has been done 14 years later. Rupashri Nanda, any idea?
Well, the complaint was already made by a person called Pandit on 28/10/2010, and after that, the Lieutenant Governor had actually granted sanction under Section 196 of CRPC to prosecute them.
Okay, no, hang on. I just want to know, has there been any explanation for why 14 years? Anyhow, let me bring in Sushil Pandit. Mr. Pandit, you were the initial filer of this case, the complainant. What do you make of this 14 years later?
Yeah, imagine. I had given up all hope after running around for several years, first to the police station, then to the courts, then to the individuals who were investigating, then to the courts to have it transferred to the crime branch because local police wasn't interested, then to crime branch asking them to finalize the charge sheet. And when charge sheet was finalized and I was told it's a matter of time, as soon as we get a go-ahead, we will file it. It was never filed. It never saw the light of day. I thought perhaps it needed a change in the government. Only then the case would move. Government changed, new Prime Minister, new Home Minister. Nothing. Nothing. So 14 years, I don't know who, the crime, the basic crime apart.
Well, 14 years too late then, Mr. Pandit, I suppose. Yeah, 14 years. Wonder why it's being resurrected now. It makes no sense. Anyhow, viewers, that's it. That's really all from me. We'll, of course, be playing up this story, getting more reactions on it. We'll take a short break. The Right Stand with Anand Narasimhan.
Powered by.
More than 20 victims were from Kerala. All of them were working in Kuwait in the hope of a better life so they could sustain their families back home. With a million-strong diaspora and the largest expatriate community in Kuwait, Indians constitute about 21% of Kuwait's total population and 30% of its total workforce. While Kuwait depends on the Indian workforce, their living conditions are deplorable to say the very least. They stay in cramped rooms in semi-constructed buildings or in labour camps like the one that was gutted in Mangaf. Congress MP Rahul Gandhi said the condition of our workers in the Middle East is a serious matter of concern. Fellow Congress MP Shashi Tharoor said it's a reminder, sadly, of how much our migrant workers suffer when they go abroad, hoping to make something to support their families at home, and they end up in these kind of terrible conditions.
It's a reminder, sadly, of how much our migrant workers suffer when they go abroad hoping to make something to support their families at home, and they end up in this kind of terrible conditions. I pray and hope that the government of Kuwait will take very stern action against whoever is responsible and will also help compensate the families who lost their loved ones. We all feel a great pain and condolence for the families, because these are the breadwinners who have been supporting their families at home.
Many opt for Gulf countries not only because of the high demand for unskilled Indian workers, but because the earnings are significantly higher than that at home in India. But nearly 50 such foreign workers paid with their lives simply because authorities turned a blind eye.
Writing our destiny as a nation, ladies and gentlemen. The early trends will trickle in shortly.
First round of EVM counting is done. I've got that official information.
So out of the 4 seats in Himachal, 3 seats, BJP is leading.
Whether for the BJP and the NDA the numbers are going up or not, but for us they are going up.
Mr. Naidu, Mr. Nitish, certainly they're going to demand their pound of flesh, but they're going to play a bigger role.
Uttar Pradesh is the state where I think we should focus.
Yes.
That could be the difference between what kind of government we're going to get.
The trends are pretty much clear.
It was the Prime Minister who first said, "Aayega to Modi hi."
I just want to thank everyone who's really put in the hard yards, blood, sweat, everything that you've given to this channel and to our election coverage. There is a day and night gap between us and the nearest competitor. So thank you very much.
N18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan, and we are coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Federal Bank Primetime Studios. First up, ladies and gentlemen, let's just bring you up to speed on what else is happening before we dive into the big stories on The Right Stand this evening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarking on his first foreign trip in his third term, and this is for the big G7 summit, a significant step marking a continuity in his foreign policy. The summit is being held at the luxurious Borgo Egnazia resort in Italy's Apulia region. He was welcomed by the Italian Prime Minister Meloni. PM also met Pope Francis. India has been invited to the